We're going to go down the list from the 4 biggest stars that are going to miss at least 4 weeks, and we're going to ask that question. Should you trade them away for one reason or another, or stash them, wait it out, see what happens? Starting with, of course, the best wide receiver in the NFL, Justin Jefferson. I'll start with this. Kevin O'Connell says he's not sure if it's season ending. He doesn't think it is. But that is a pretty big sign for me. What is your first reaction for what we should do for Justin Jefferson? And before you answer, for also us on the other side that may want to try to capitalize on trading for these injured players, help us figure out with what to do with Jay Jettis.
Yeah, so the situation is interesting because obviously when you go on IR, we know you're going to miss at least 4 games. But with Justin Jefferson and the situation that the Vikings are in and the rumors of what this team is headed for, we don't really know what this is going to look like, with Kevin O'Connell being kind of non-committal on, hey, is this gonna be a season-ending thing? And for him to say, I'm not sure, I don't know, we hope not. I believe one of the quotes I saw was we're going to rely on the reports from doctors. It's not great. Not great to hear as a Justin Jefferson owner. I will say, personally, Wes, in a league that you and I are in with some of our family and friends, my wife was a Justin Jefferson owner. She traded him away on Monday. On Thursday. She traded him away on Thursday. And here's the thing: if you're moving,
I didn't even see that. Wow.
If you're moving Justin Jefferson, you're not going to get really fair value, probably. But she is 2-3. And she doesn't really have the time to wait for Justin Jefferson to maybe return. She needs to try and win now. So she actually traded Justin Jefferson for Michael Pittman Jr. and Ramondre Stevenson. So she got those 2 guys in exchange for Justin Jefferson. Now, the Patriots offense hasn't looked great, but Ramondre has a great schedule. Obviously, we talked about trading for him last week. That's around the area of probably what you're going to be able to get for Justin Jefferson. A mid-tier wide receiver 2, maybe a high-end wide receiver 2, so like the Michael Pittman Jr. range, and probably a mid-tier RB2 or back-end RB2, depending on how you view Ramondre, how the Ramondre owner views Ramondre, whatever it may be. So that just real-life situation and scenario for a Justin Jefferson trade that happened when he was officially put on IR. So
that's a bit of a gut punch in the reality check for what this scenario looks like, because it does not feel like Jefferson's back after 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough.
Obviously, if he is, you're going to be happy with him.
Yeah.
But last thing is obviously just how much of a boost this is in the fantasy world for Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
And specifically, it sure feels like T.J. Hawkinson is going to finish as tight end 1.
Feels like it.
With this
1
kind of
or
development.
2, yeah, with between him
Madison
and
might get an uptick as well, just as they need to kind of change the play designs, the play calls.
Yeah.
But it's tough. It's tough to say, but I think I'm leaning towards trade Justin Jefferson.
If I was
while
in this scenario,
the news is still unclear.
Yeah, if I was in this scenario and I had Justin Jefferson in a redraft league, I would be trading Justin Jefferson. I'm trying. I don't think it really even specifically matters whether or not I had a winning record. If I was in a good spot, if my team was already doing well, if I had good depth to fill in for him, whatever it is, I'm a little worried about his status for the rest of the year either way. So I would be trying to trade him away and get some value for him if possible. So we'll see what happens. I heard somebody saying that, hey, Caleb Williams won the Heisman when Jordan Addison was his top wide receiver. Maybe they're going to be trying to reconnect those guys here. Minnesota, maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens. They're 1-4 right now, and by the time you get to 4 games, maybe they could be, I don't know, 3-6, 2-7. Their schedule upcoming is 3 road games and then San Francisco. So it doesn't feel great if you're a Vikings fan or a Jefferson owner. I agree with you, Wes. I would lean towards the side of trading Justin Jefferson.
Let's talk about the Dolphins' incredible rookie running back, Achane, who is averaging 12 yards a carry, second in rushing yards in the NFL up to this week. He is proving to be exactly what we wanted off the waiver claim following that insane Broncos game, but he's on IR as well. We probably are going to agree on this, but should you trade away Achane or should you stash him?
Personally, I'm going to stash. I'm going to stash Achane. I will play for the fun of it. I will play devil's advocate and give you a reason you could trade him away if you wanted to. I'll give you the argument for trading him away. His value is extremely high right now. He is extremely high, even after going on IR. This doesn't feel as long term. Mike McDaniel has said he doesn't think it's season ending. It sounds like the IR ad was a decision between GM Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel, just deciding what the best thing would be for him in order to be able to have him further down the road. This lines up pretty much where 4 weeks from now, his first game he could play back would be the game in Germany against the Kansas City Chiefs, and then it's the Dolphins bye week. My guess is that he's going to not travel to Germany with the team. He will stay on IR through that game, and then he will come back after the bye week, ready for the Dolphins' late season push, playoff push. They'll have Jalen Ramsey back. It'll be a fun time. And so I am going to stash Achane. But if you wanted to, trade him because maybe, hey, Jeff Wilson Jr. is coming back from IR. Hey, maybe by the time Achane is able to come back from IR, maybe this Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr. duo we saw last year is humming away, and maybe Achane takes a back seat again. Personally, I don't think that's going to happen. There is always a possibility we could see that happen, but I personally don't see it. I'm holding on Achane. I'm stashing. I'm not going to trade him away.
I think you have good reason why someone could or would be willing to field offers for Achane, or at the very least give someone enough motivation to send some high offer for Achane while they can, because his value is not going to be higher now, and Achane owners this is the only opportunity right now for them to be willing to trade him, because I was so unbelievably glad to have him in a couple of leagues, and it was a bummer, but I knew immediately that I was going to stash him because again, this running back market right now in the fantasy world is pretty thin. So to have even just a competent running back, even if they're hurt, just come your playoff push is pretty great. Now let's jump over to Indianapolis. And this one, we have a more clear timeline on the situation for Anthony Richardson, who is points per game amazing. But he has already missed so much time. He's already missed several quarters of football before being placed on IR this week. Right now, what it looks like is he could miss 4 to 8 weeks, depending on what the surgery looks like for his AC shoulder joint. Stashing Anthony Richardson, or are you going to try to trade him away?
No, this one feels pretty easy for me. I'm pretty easily stashing Anthony Richardson. I feel like the quarterback market is pretty open right now. I feel like most people's fantasy teams have a solid quarterback you can play on a weekly basis or feel okay about. And so Anthony Richardson, while he may be your second quarterback you took, I mean, maybe if you get value for him, if you've got Justin Fields and you took Anthony Richardson in the 11th or 12th round or whatever it is, and maybe you can get some value for him now if you're missing a position in your lineup, that's fine. But Anthony Richardson should be top 5 worthy whenever he is playing. So I'm pretty easily stashing Anthony Richardson.
That sort of answers my question I was going to ask, which is when he's back, people that have Anthony Richardson are going to be in the final weeks of our fantasy regular season, and that would then mean that people that have stashed Anthony Richardson are probably expecting to play Richardson in the fantasy playoffs, and then therefore expecting him to help them win the championship. It sounds like you believe that Anthony Richardson has the top 5 week-to-week playing ability to win championships so long as you keep him and stash him. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, it definitely is. And it proved it to me when he was out with the concussion, because he goes out and like halfway through the second quarter of that game, and he already had scored 2 rushing touchdowns in like a quarter and a half. And he had a decent fantasy day on a quarter and a half of football for your fantasy football owners. I think he is, honestly, he's the... If Justin Fields hadn't played how he's played over the last 2 weeks, I would say right now Anthony Richardson is the best mobile quarterback for fantasy football that you can have. I think he's higher than Lamar. I think he's higher than, I don't know, who else? Shoot, Russell Wilson.
Kyler Murray.
Apparently, based off Thursday night, Russell Wilson was out there running up.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson is highly valued, and I believe whenever he is back, he should be locked into lineups. I think he's fantastic. So
that sounds like that should also encourage people to trade for him, especially because people don't usually want or feel the need to have 2 quarterbacks on their roster, especially when that's hurt. That might be a good move. You've actually convinced me I might pull that off, because there's one person in one of my leagues that has Justin Jefferson and Anthony Richardson. I've only got 1 IR slot, so let me take one of those off your hands, buddy.
Yeah.
Except I have Achane in that league too, so I might, I'm going to.
So you have an IR spot to fill as well.
IR slots as well. It's kind of, the 2 of us share this whole IR list. Last one we're going to talk about here. This is a very interesting one because it's kind of gone back and forth of how his season has been, but he's definitely a reliable player. James Conner, Cardinals running back, placed in IR. It does feel like this may be longer than 4 weeks, but it doesn't feel like it's season ending. Are you stashing James Conner? Are you going to try to trade him away? What is your approach to him with how the Cardinals' offense has been this year?
Yeah, this is a real scenario for me. I have James Conner in a couple of my leagues, and I'm stashing. We've talked about it with Achane. The running back market is so thin, and I don't think right now you could get value that would help you now at the moment for James Conner that would be worth sending him away. You don't get as high value of him as a player because he's on IR, so the person is going to get them for at least 4 weeks. So you'd have to take a much bigger discount to get James Conner or to give him away. And so I just think at this point, when he's on the field and he's playing, he's been really, really good, and he gets a lot of work. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm honestly surprised he went to IR. When the play where he got hurt was a big, shout out Kyle Brandt, an angry run that he was completing, and he got hit kind of low and went down, but kind of he got back up, and it's clear he was like limping a little bit, but it didn't look too bad. And then reports from people actually that were at the game were that James Conner at halftime actually didn't just like walk to the locker room, like got up and jogged and like ran to the locker room with the team. So I was surprised that he ended up on IR. I think if it's not, I don't know where the Cardinals bye week is, but if it's not 4 weeks, I don't think it'll be much longer. And I do think whenever he is back and available, he's going to slot right back into being a mid-tier, maybe high-tier RB2, just based off of his usage. He's heavily used in this offense, and so maybe he'll come back around the same time Kyler Murray does. Offense will get an uptick. Maybe that'll be good for James Conner. So I think it's worth stashing just for those reasons.
Yeah, and it's also, again, kind of a similar point that we made about Achane, which is like the running back position is pretty thin, and so at least having a reliable running back that can get you double-digit points, because that seems to be just the gold standard. Yeah. Can you get a running back that gets 10 points? Right. Because those that drafted a lot of second and third round running backs are still waiting for a second double-digit game.
Right.
That's probably worth it, and I think I might also try to field a couple of mediocre offers if I can get James Conner on the low.